Hello everyone. I'm back. I don't know why I just said I was back, but I'm going to talk about today Big Finish again. Um, so as you already probably know, I'm a huge fan of Big Finish. I'm a real big fan of Big Finish, and I'm making this video just to try and explain what Big Finish is, and just try and help people appreciate this area of Doctor Who, which sadly is very underrated. Um, so yes, I guess I should first begin with the whole Doctor Who canon thing. So, for people who probably know, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm sure the people who listen to this are Star Wars fans. Well, at least the audience I tend to attract with my podcast is all. First thing you gotta realize about Doctor Who canon, we don't have a canon. We don't have a continuity. Okay, we do have a continuity, kind of. But nothing. It's not like Star Wars where everything counts. Nothing counts in Doctor Who. And you can argue, well, neither the Doctor mentioned the Big Finish companions, but, that's kind of just a little nod. It's not really count. So, first off, we gotta understand that. So, but just that the world of Big Finish. Okay, so give me the rundown. Big Finish started around the early 2000s, um, before the relaunch of Doctor Who in '05. Because of that, a lot of the earlier productions were, they didn't, I don't want to say they didn't line up with what New Who was saying, but they didn't bother to mention anything. It was sort of like the Eighth Doctor was having his adventures, and, when he regenerated, he regenerated. But then, 2005 happened, Time War happened. Then around that time, that's when things start lining up. There's a whole interesting article about Doctor Who and the Time War and just how that whole thing lines up with Big Finish. But long story short, basically what happened is Eighth Doctor Adventures slowly started building up to what Russell T Davies was saying with his relaunch, and then around 2014, that's when Big Finish got the rights to the New Who stuff. And then basically what happened is they really started lining up with the new stuff. In fact, right now, as of this recording, they are doing War Doctor audio dramas with John Hurt as the companion. I mean, the Doctor companion, silly me. But basically, you will notice that as you go deeper into the world of Big Finish, that it starts lining up a lot more with what New Who is telling you. And there's so much of it that I'm going to try my best to tell you where to start. And there are a lot of places I guess you can start. I started on with a. I didn't even start with a Doctor Who story. I started with a spin-off, but that's just me. But I guess if you want to start, I'll just give you a few places to start and move forward from there. And then I'll just tell you some of my favorite stuff. So yeah, let's start. So I guess the first place I'll tell you where to start is the Sixth Doctor adventure, Curse of Davros. Now, Curse of Davros is a good place to start because it introduces the Doctor to a new companion. It's a typical Dalek story. Davros is up to his old tricks. Doctor has to save him. There's an interesting twist. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a lot of fun. The companion might get on your nerves. Some people call Flip Rose Tyler 2.0. But she's such a small part, and the rest of the story is so good that I'm going to say it probably won't ruin it for you. Hopefully. The Daleks are a lot of fun. It's definitely interesting just to watch the Doctor and Davros relationship, which is quite interesting in Big Finish, especially with the Sixth Doctor. Sixth Doctor and Terry Malloy's Davros have beautiful chemistry together. I'm not gonna, again, there's a twist. I'm not gonna spoil what the twist is, but when you see it, it is really interesting and really cool. So yeah, that would be my first one. My second one would be We Are the Daleks. Something you gotta realize about Big Finish is that they have a lot of Dalek stories. Because of Nick Briggs, who is the head writer for Big Finish, and overall, he's the voice of the Daleks on the show. So that being said, um, it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of Dalek stories because of him. We Are the Daleks is another, the Seventh Doctor story, basically set in London in the 1980s. It's, in terms of the Doctor's timeline, he's just started being the Seventh Doctor. Well, yeah, he just started being the Seventh Doctor because of, he regenerated. And it's another Dalek story. Daleks are up to their old tricks. It's really interesting. I know it sounds like, Daleks up to their old tricks. No, trust me. In the Big Finish and Classic Who, Daleks being up to their old tricks can be really clever and fascinating. They do a lot of stuff. Okay, I will tell you the plan. The plan is to use economic investment to take control of Earth's economy, and there's interesting discussion about video games of all things, and Daleks using video games to have children control their auto ships and destroy their enemies. So basically, they're going to have the humans do their work for them because Dalek computers are too logical, and humans are creative. That's interesting as well. But yeah, it's just a fun story. It's a good Seventh Doctor story because Seventh Doctor stories have a certain feel to them. And the Seventh Doctor, if you know the Seventh Doctor, gets very political. It was the 80s, very anti-Thatcher, pro-labor, I guess. I don't really know much about Britain politics, so, I'm sure I'm going to get flamed for that later. Oh boy. But, yeah, it's a good story. I would recommend it. Now, okay, one for now. The next one, sadly, is one I can't really say much about because it's one I haven't read yet. It's called Storm Warning. It's the Eighth Doctor's adventures, and the only reason I'm putting this on the list is because it's the first Big Finish audio drama. This is the one which started. This is the one that started it all. And I'm not sure about any other starting places. Okay, I do have a starting place for the Eighth Doctor that's a little more new, but that's where I started, but I don't know if you should start there. There are a couple other ones I could mention, but this is definitely this first Eighth Doctor audio drama where he meets a girl named Charlie, who was supposed to die on the Hindenburg. I think it was the Hindenburg. See, this is why I didn't want to talk about this too much, because I don't want to talk about it again. Now, to be fair, I'm going to give you one more, just so I feel a little fair for the Eighth Doctor. Terra Firma. I think it's saying it right. Terra Firma? It's Terra Firma. It's another Dalek story. You're going to notice there's a lot of Dalek stories on my list, because that's my favorite thing, and I love the Daleks. And also, there's just a lot of Daleks in Big Finish. Maybe too much Daleks, if you think about it. That's the Eighth Doctor's encounter with Davros. It's sort of wrapping up what Remembrance of the Daleks finished. It's a direct sequel to that story. There's actually two in Big Finish, but one makes more sense than the other. I won't go into that much. It's interesting. I don't want to spoil too much of it because it gets a little confusing, but there's a lot of interesting ideas, and it's a lot of fun. So those are my starting places for Big Finish people. Honestly, you can start wherever you want. I mean, if you know Doctor Who, it's sort of like jump in any adventure and, just run with it. But that being said, I'm gonna now just talk about my favorite Big Finish stories, because I have quite a few, actually. So hopefully... shoot. That's my phone in the background. Don't you hate that, people, when that happens? Just the phone in the background. At least, dang phones. Okay. Anywho, now that that's quieted, I'm gonna start with my favorite Big Finish audio drama, the Dark Eye Saga. I love the Dark Eye Saga. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites of Eighth Doctor stories. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it has one of my favorite villains in Doctor Who. It has the Dalek Time Controller. Now, the Dalek Time Controller, I'm not going to go into him too much because it's hard for me, even I can't explain him that easily, but he's so fascinating because he's the Doctor in Dalek form, almost. You can say, I would say that. I think he's the Doctor in Dalek form. He's a clever Dalek. A clever Dalek. He's smart, he's crazy, he's scary, he's really scary. He's a really scary Dalek. And the interesting thing about the Dark Eye Saga is that it's almost as if they took a Stephen Moffat-ish like story, but they made it more cohesive and a lot more clever. The interesting thing about the Dark Eye Saga is that the first set is clearly a standalone. I don't think they knew they were going to make more. But the next three are definitely part of a larger story, and the final story, I love the final story because it manages to wrap everything up so nicely. The companion, Molly O'Sullivan, at first she can be a little annoying, but by the end you'll love her. Trust me. When you get to that final scene of her, you'll love her. I know I do. But yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love it that it builds a lot into the Time War. Like, this is like, they're gonna actually do a prequel to the Time War, like how it all happened. But this is like setting the seeds of the Time War. And I just love it for that. And yeah, that's Dark Eye Saga for you. So the next one is ofDavros. Now this is the first one I started with. Basically, ofDavros isn't part of the main range Doctor Who, which is sort of like the main story elements. This is a spin-off, technically, telling the history of Davros. His backstory, where he came from, why he is the way he is. It's very fascinating, and the entire character of Davros in Big Finish is just fascinating. It takes that, because in the series he's kind of a bit too known. He says, I am Davros, I am supreme, I am the emperor, blah 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 blah. But it makes him three-dimensional. It makes him a character who wants to do the right thing, I think. It's just to him the right thing is insane. And, it really delves into his morality, his views on science and humanity, and what it means to be human, what it is to be better. It shows he's got a very big inferiority complex, that's for sure. But he's just a fascinating character in Big Finish, and Terry Malloy did a great job portraying Davros. He is the definitive Davros, and I'm sorry for any fans of Michael Wishler or Julian Bleach, but Terry Malloy, because of this, is the definitive Davros. He is just that good of a character. And he's an actor. I mean, he manages to portray Davros not as just as the raving lunatic, but he gives a sense of sadness, humanity. He really just knows how to nail those scenes. And I love him for it. You know, Davros is a person. He's just not Space Hitler. He's not just Space Hitler. Or Borg Queen done right, as some would call him. He is a fully fleshed out character in Big Finish. If you want to see him with the Doctor, his best story is just called Davros. Not ofDavros, just Davros. It's a 6th Doctor audio drama featuring 6th Doctor and Davros. And no Daleks, just 6th Doctor and Davros. Really fascinating stuff. So yeah, that's another one of my favorites. On to the next one. So the next one is a one called Neverland. I like Neverland a lot. Although I would put a caveat that it's a continuation of a story called Time of the Daleks, which is okay. It's not that great as Neverland. I just like it because it deals with the Time Lords and their sort of society a little more. Um, it's a story that it's one I can't talk about a lot because it's weird. I like it, but I can't talk about it a lot. But I really enjoy it, and I just like it's setting up an arc called the Zagreus arc, which I hear is not that good. But the first one is really good. And that being said, it's a lot of fun. It deals with Romana. She's a big part. She has her own spin-off series um, called Gallifrey. I'm not going to get into that one. But I liked it. It's a fun Eighth Doctor story. It does deal with things that are being set up in previous stories. Because, so I wouldn't start there. But it's a lot of, yeah. Sorry, I didn't have much to say about this one. I have more to say on the next one, though. So the next one is Patient Zero. Now, Patient Zero is one of my favorites. It's the start of another arc as well, featuring the Sixth Doctor and Charlie, who is the Eighth Doctor's companion. Because, minor spoiler, Charlie meets the Eighth Doctor first and goes see the Sixth Doctor. They do a lot of that in Doctor Who, where they do a lot with the whole timey-wimey, mixing things up sort of thing, and I love it for that. But Patient Zero is fun. It's another Dalek story, but it introduces the Dalek Time Controller, who I mentioned in Dark Eye. That's the Doctor's first encounter with him. His second encounter is in another two tales called Lucy Miller / To the Death, which I'm not sure if we anyway. But yeah, this is a fun one. The Daleks are very scary in this. A lot of politics, strangely, in this one between different alien factions. And I like that when Doctor Who goes into the whole alien faction idea of Daleks versus Suntarans, or Suntarans versus the Virans, which are the aliens introduced in Patient Zero. Patient Zero also sets up a lot of things, too, to future Doctor Who stories, which is a lot of cool and a lot of fun. It's just really fun. It's really cool. Colin Baker is, of course, excellent as the Sixth Doctor. And I just really enjoy it. It's fun. I'm gonna be saying that a lot. It's fun. It's fun. Okay, two more I'm gonna put on this list actually, and it's a two-parter. So the next two are called Lucy Miller and To the Death. I think that's what the first one is called. Yeah, I'm gonna hate myself if I get it wrong. But this is an Eighth Doctor audio drama, starring Paul McGann, of course. I hope I mentioned that in the beginning. I hope so. That the Doctors are played by their original actors. If I didn't, then boy, I'm failing already. But this two-parter is very sad. And I don't want to go into too much into it because there's some spoilers. It's kind of interesting historical-wise because they didn't know the War Doctor existed when they made this two-parter. So they played this story up as if this is what happened before the Time War happened and when the Doctor destroyed Gallifrey. Because originally everyone thought that the 8th Doctor destroyed Gallifrey, and then he became the 9th Doctor and he regretted what the 8th Doctor did. And obviously we find out that's not true. But this story is really sad and tragic. It's very dark. Paul McGann's Doctor can get very dark in places, and I love it. He can get very angry. And also, I would recommend also that you listen to these two before Dark Eyes, because Dark Eyes is sort of the ramifications of this two-parter. But yeah, the Dalek Time Controller is in it again. The Dalek Time Controller is a big part of Big Finish in terms of the 8th Doctor's adventures. He's the reason why the Doctor is the way he is in Dark Eyes. Though I don't know if the impact of the story would be worth it if you don't have a good connection to who Lucy Miller is. Because he became a big companion of the 8th Doctor many stories beforehand. Otherwise, it introduces characters. This story brings back characters like the Monk. It brings back characters like, the Doctor's granddaughter, whose name escapes me right now, and I feel so unprofessional. But this is a very dark story, and it's a really good story as well. Dalek Time Controller is like, I think this is he is at his evilest in this story. He's really creepy, and I love it. I think he's like one of the best Doctor Who villains ever. Apart, even greater, maybe. Nah, he doesn't beat the Master, but or Davros in my eyes, but he comes close. He comes close, maybe number 3 spot. But yeah, that is like those are some of my favorites of Big Finish. Now I'm going to go into one more thing before I wrap this up. The spin-offs. Doctor Who Big Finish has sort of developed this audio drama cinematic universe. Almost. Not pretty much almost. It's pretty much a cinematic universe. I don't know if everything connects, because I don't listen to all of them. I listen to... Okay, the big one for me is the Dalek Empire, which is a story about humans dealing with a Dalek invasion of the galaxy. No doctor, no time travel, just humans, one time zone, one war against the Daleks. It's really good. The Daleks are on top of form as ever. The humans are really cool. I'm not going to go into them too much, but it's interesting just to see the humans deal with the Daleks without the Doctor's help. There's a tie-in to that with the 7th Doctor, and in fact, there's a series of audio dramas that are called Rise of the Dalek Empire, which are supposed to lead into the spin-off, so that's interesting. But this is a really good story. The other one would be Cybermen. Cybermen is a story involving... It's pretty much Dalek Empire, but with Cybermen. Humans dealing with Cybermen. No doctor, yeah. There's some tie-ins to that as well. There's also, let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, there's Torchwood, which is, basically, if you're a fan of the Torchwood series, then this is the continuation of that series, started by Russell T Davies, deals with Captain Jack, and all that good stuff. I've only listened to one audio drama. It's cool, it's fun. I wasn't a big fan of Torchwood, to be honest. But, yeah, it's really good. So, that's sort of my whole spiel on Big Finish. I feel like I didn't do as good a job as I could have, or like, Browncoat Eric's, Legends, discussion. I'll maybe put a link to that in my description. I'll try and put links to the stories I mentioned. Hopefully. I'll try. But yeah, Big Finish is something I highly recommend you people check out. It's worth your time. It's worth the money. If you're tired of Doctor Who, the TV series, try this, please. This will revitalize your Who fandom in ways that the TV series doesn't or hasn't if you're not feeling it. It's the best because obviously, you get the original actors. I didn't put any of the 4th Doctor stories. I need to listen to more 4th Doctor. Because Tom Baker is part of this series as well, and he's excellent as ever. I could have gone into more detail, and I apologize. Maybe I'll do another video about this, just going into the stuff I missed. But yeah, try Big Finish, please, try Big Finish. Get the downloadable ones, because they're cheaper. Like, early Big Finish downloaded on your computer is like $3. The newer stuff is more expensive, but if you just download it, it's a lot cheaper. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think, leave a comment below, let me know. And as always, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Red Leader and Tilly's channel, watch the Imperial HoloNet, and yeah, thanks. See you later.